Good evening. Is there? Good evening. If the lovely Miss Dunn would.
Sorry.
No, you got
Talk
If
to
you
more
were
about
in my
that.
classroom, I would go, Miss Dunn, and you need to share
There's
with
that
why I'm getting
story
this
today.
class
Thank you very
started
much.
late. So,
I'm just talking with a friend,
oh, that's Liz. She's
loitering in the hallway.
All right, here we go. Madam Mayor, I'm sorry you missed the end of that invite.
Are you having?
Officer control, blah, blah, blah.
Can you see their faces?
We're just having some fun. Here we go.
No, it was just like.
It is May 14, 2025, and that thing in the sky is still called the sun. We got flowers and grass growing. It's a good time to be out and about. We'll be having farmers markets and Fridays at the fort or whatever. It's just good, a good time of the year. Ball games being played and the like. Real quick, the last time we gathered was over a month ago, way back on April 9th. Hope you all had a chance to read the minutes. Any changes, additions, subtractions, or if you accept as written, I would entertain.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Real quick, Miss Liz, where did she go?
I'm here.
Oh, I have my readers on, I have my distance classes on. It's a long discussion. I did talk to Grant, I'm going off from last month in our conversation. I did talk to Grant, that's something that he put on his to-do list for, making, the area between, for the audience, between Fall Creek Valley Middle School and Lee Road Park accessible. Students, classes use it, but especially this time of the year. If you've ever taught, Mr. Burns, how you did it at the middle school and stayed out of therapy, I don't know. But it's a good place that teachers and the like take folks, and it's just a damn good place to go between the two places. That's all I got to say. So I'm working on that. It's in the pipeline. Real, yes, sir.
Explain what you're talking.
In the past, when before Fall Creek Valley did their renovations and we did our altering of our ball fields, there was direct access between,
Right.
and we're trying to get that back again. There
Because
isn't,
because the fence is up all the way.
Yes.
There is no gate.
and the issue is Grant and I will physically, Nesbitt and I will physically go out there. I understand where they're coming from because they put in new soccer or new softball field where like home plate butts up against, Fall Creek. Come on down. And I'm sitting here babbling, kinda half knowing what I'm talking about. That should qualify me to be president.
No.
Yes, Lee Road Park. Way you got there for me, Liz.
Okay, you used to be able to, just say you're coming from Fall Creek Valley going to Lee Road Park, you could, there's a little path and you can do it. This fence here, you cannot get through here, and yes, you can go on the trail, but, like, I was over on Lee Road today, it adds, 3/4 of a mile, to go out on another trail, and as you said, like, if you wanna bring kids, take kids over to Lee Road Park,
And the bigger thing is, to me, if this is an attractive nuisance in reverse, if people physically wanna get into either Fall Creek or Lee Road, they'll make their own way in, so, let's not put what I would call a burden of accessibility. It just needs where it needs to be located, that's all it is.
Well, and I appreciate that. I know Ms. Masur, lives in Kensington Farms where I used to live, and many times folks that live in Kensington Farms
Come over to Fall Creek Valley, yes,
go to
ma'am.
Fall Creek, go to the park, and now with the beautiful, the paths that are there now to be able to traverse, at that park, the accessibility, I appreciate the park department wanting to.
Oh, I know they get, kids, adults, teachers, these people, we need that, yes, everybody needs to be enjoying what's been created over the many plus years, and over the next 2 or 3 years, we're gonna get even a better trail, within the next 2 years to use and have access to. We had the steering committee meeting, met this week, and that is to answer questions, a master plan for community park going forward. Every chance I get, I wanna say thank you to the Fort Harrison Reuse Authority for funding that. It's not their, the sledding hill, the, skate park, those are still, directly off the top of my mind, the Reuse Authority has funded. Appreciate Mayor Deb with your input. I haven't told you directly, I'm not gonna tell you this in an email, but every mayor wants a legacy. That's not selfish, that's not grandiose, people. And Mayor Deb, Mayor Collier share this vision. You can't police yourself out of a situation, we know that, but you want a component of quality of life. And Mayor Deb has committed herself to making Community Park, which is our, off the interstate, off Franklin Road, has made that, correct me if I'm wrong, that needs to be our showcase, our gathering. Yes, we have Civic Plaza, we got the cultural campus. I think that's extra, I'm using my hillbilly analogy, but that's extra, chicken fried gravy on my steak I'm getting, but we wanna gather people at Community Park. I know we're working on, we can twist Indy's arm to make 56th Street a little better, but I say this, in about a month and a half, we'll have 4th of July activity there, and that Community Park is a large pizza with a whole lot of flavorings on it. I've said that for years. So we're working, and the community, if I'm wrong, Jamie, correct me, just cause you weren't at our steering committee meeting, I have email, Jamie's got email, Eric's got email, I know the mayor's got an email or 20, that get a hold and reach out, cause that is our signature park. So, with that being said, sir.
What was the steering committee?
The public meeting was
Okay, that was
Monday
Monday.
evening,
Yeah,
yes.
I apologize.
Yeah.
And I want to say,
Because that wasn't.
go ahead,
I was just gonna say, I wanna clear that was the steering committee.
No, it was
I
not,
thought
so
that was
the
input from the public.
information gathered at that meeting they'll bring back to the steering committee meeting, and then before they put pen to paper, we'll look at the suggestions and tally those, and then go on from that point.
Good plan.
I also saw that was on the news, which, I don't know,
Yes,
if you
yeah.
all saw that or not, but that was lovely that was, publicized in that manner. I also agree, when I first moved to Lawrence, I resided on 52nd Street right off of Richard. And
Oh, wow.
Old Lawrence is, near and dear to my heart, and
That's
seeing-
our stomping ground here.
Yep, seeing the efforts that the city has put into Franklin Road in particular, the repaving, and then the park is long overdue, and so I am very, very excited, to see that happening. So kudos to the Parks Department for, leading this initiative.
And it's difficult. I've been doing this work in some way for the city since 1984, and then this board since 2000. And it didn't matter who is DRR downtown Indianapolis, Tom Burns knows this, is that we don't get to help with the Unigov situation in funding our parks. It's juggling chainsaw. Eric, last thing, we've entered into agreement for our 4th of July fireworks already, correct? In light of the world we live in, trying to be as apolitical as possible, but living in the real world, are we gonna have the same amount, same length, or how's this gonna work?
Those products were already on hand before we initiated the agreement, so we're guaranteed to show that these will be provided as written, so.
Now, it may make the local police department's job a little easier, cause fireworks are gonna be a little harder to ascertain and a lot more expensive. All right, any other questions for Eric? Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's the basic timeline, excuse me, for the master plan for the community park?
They said probably 2 to 3 weeks they would come back to the steering committee with
Kind of a framework.
all the information combined and show us, and then we can go from there. So probably sometime in mid-July, we'll have some written notes to look at, so next 60 days.
Anything that we're gonna do, have we figured out where the money's gonna come from?
quick, the history of swimming education, not only in the state of Indiana, but in particular Lawrence Township. Dwayne Bell, who the stadium, yes, it's a real quick history lesson, please take notes. Dwayne Bell, who I had as my swim teacher and initial, he's a Hall of Fame track and field coach. He had cancer, only had one arm, quick joke, and God, he would be smiling right now, but I had him for swimming, and he would jump in, he goes, "Don't worry, I don't swim in circles." And the whole swimming curriculum that the state of Indiana adopted in the late 60s, going into 70s, that's when construction of newer schools after the MSDLT kind of framework was adopted with school consolidation in 1959, was Dwayne Bell drew up the state of Indiana's curriculum for swimming. In 1976, when Lawrence North opened, John Dirks, the first swim coach at Lawrence North High School, created what is known as LST, Lawrence Swim Team. So any of y'all, if you hang out with Fisher and Carmel, they were swimming around in the White River when we actually had a Lawrence Township swim team, which for the first, I came to Lawrence Township in April of '89, all the way up to 2001 or 2, it was codified in the CBA, collective bargaining agreement, that Lawrence Swim Team XYZ was listed. John Dirks' initiative for doing that, and even he retired the year before I did in 2019, this is nothing new. So whoever brings it up, we need to make sure kids don't drown in everything. You need to pick up the phone and call John Dirks. He spent 25 years spending his spring break and part of his summer break, and we've all been, if you've been overseas, in the Bahamas, in Puerto Rico, in the ABCs, the U.S. Virgin Islands, guess what he was doing? He was teaching swim lessons, because the #1 cause of death for the folks, the natives in those areas, was drowning, catering to American or Western tourists, and the Riviera Club, it's a sword pass, I get it, but part of the Dirks family and the like in the 50s and 60s was to create swim lessons. It was limited, but for minorities in Indianapolis. So we have a history here in Lawrence. We just need to go ask the right question with the right people and troll for it. But to answer your question, the issue of a swimming pool in the city of Lawrence is always, and Eric can attest to this, go to Noblesville, Greenfield, you can build things. Can you maintain it? That's always been the issue we have. This is not a cop-out. Eric?
Very true, yeah, the O&M costs for a pool are astronomical, especially for a seasonal outdoor pool.
Like going in a boat.
Yeah. We have had a lot of interest in the splash pad. I know it's not it's an apple to oranges sort of thing, but we can afford something like that, the pool would just.
And that's why our LST is so important, because they take kids from, I still can't swim. They take 63-year-olds who can't swim, but early kindergartners all the way up and through, and we do operate them at both facilities. That's our strongest, because it does support our program. It's been in place for 40 years, and it helps us keep our MSDLT kids.
Since you brought up the splash pad, you got any idea how much those things cost?
$1 million.
Yeah,
For the splash pad?
That is correct, we checked.
$1 million.
and it's not, and you're not getting anything what you pull over the top fancy. Because you go up to the one you see from the interstate where the Mud Sox Little League is in Fisher, that's highfalutin. I sneak around it, boy, that doesn't sound right. But we'll go in there, that's a $5.5 million splash pad, Mr. Roman.
What was the question?
Of the cost of putting in a basic splash pad.
When we checked, it was close to $1 million.
And that's just the building, and you gotta maintain it. That's always the hard
Is
thing.
the pool about the same?
Pardon?
Swimming pool is about the same, but the cost to maintain the pool is just more money.
Yes.
And
Yes,
lifeguards.
Madam Mayor, I was hoping to prime the pump a little bit here, and
I try to keep my voice and my opinion.
you're amongst friends.
One of the most important things for us, and that was a great question to ask, But as we're trying to make sure that everything that we do, if you listen to the State of the City 2 weeks ago, and how I talked about quality of life and how the Live Longer in Lawrence is part of anything and everything that we do right now in the policies and what we look at. I think those were great questions, but of course, we also know what's happening with SEA1, this SB1 bill, and we're going to be seeing some major decrease in property tax and funding coming in for budget. I think what we need to do is look at collaboration with partnerships, and I think that the YMCA has a pull and continue to build a partnership with them. The school system is great, but also when you have a public pool, I know last year, I remember seeing a lot of emails with pools, and they're not even having lifeguards now. Even my HOA has a pool and have a hard time getting a lifeguard there. So those are really great questions, but I think that at this particular time, I don't think it's feasible for a pool. I know that the council members were looking at a splash pad. They talked about that a lot, but again, that's something that if the council itself can't afford at this time, the city may not. I'm looking at Eric saying the city may not, but also.
We were saying that 20 years ago, Madam Mayor.
Yes. But also there could be collaborations out there. Maybe there's a business that we can work with. Maybe they have some funds. No idea is a bad idea. It's just that remembering we're going to have some tough challenges ahead of us right now with SB1. Well, it's not SB, I keep saying SB1. No, now that it has passed, so now that it has passed, it's SE. Yeah, and I'm so used to saying SB1. So again, great ideas, but collaboration. I think we're going to have a great presentation from I-9 quickly soon, and that's a good collaboration. So that sets an example.
Mayor, can I ask you a question? Local income tax, do we have power on that or not?
Can you repeat that question?
Local income tax. They said cities could raise the local income tax. Are we included in that?
So unfortunately, we're going to have to move that way. Yes, and it's going to be in 2027, and we're going to be having some education for our residents, working with one of our outside financial vendors, calling them in, and having everyone understand how this is going to affect the city, the costs. And yes, we're going to have to do that.
I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but how does that work with the city of Indianapolis?
It doesn't work with the city of Indianapolis. We'll be able to do, even though we're Unigov, we're still independent, and we'll be able to have our own local lit. It's called lit.
If you read the original Unigov statute, there was more focus on a property tax compared to an income
Well,
tax. Appropriation
yes,
money.
not just property tax, but public safety tax and other things. So we're really gonna have some educational opportunities that this administration wants to bring out, because we're still learning too. But we have a consultant, a financial consultant firm that's gonna come out, and we're gonna have some town hall meetings on that. All right, but great questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Great questions.
And, you know, schools in cities are going to, your hair will be gray in there, young lady, over the next few months.
Jessica now holds the Jerry Riley chair.
Oh, really? Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's kind of like a college, the chair, the professor chair, yes. But I don't envy municipalities, corps, and all of that. All right, any other questions for Mr. Eric, or?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Lee Road, pick up the asphalt out there.
Yeah, Jim and his crew are gonna do that once they'll recycle that.
How about the parking lot that wasn't paved? We didn't do, because there's still gravel and.
Well, their intention was to leave some dirt there and overseed it, which they did, but it didn't take very well. So we'll have to bring some additional soil in and overseed that and it's a long way from that. Yeah.
That's fine, that's fine.
Eric,
That,
a follow-up?
no, go ahead, go ahead.
In regards to where the asphalt is right off County Road, that potentially, what would you put in its place?
Well, we've had some discussion about, sand volleyball courts,
I
so.
heard that, is that still proposed?
It's something we're looking at, yeah, we're getting some cost proposals, if that's something we can do in-house, which I think we can. Whether it's there or somewhere else in the park, but looking at something, some other activities out there that can be open to the public to use. And program, actually, so that's the idea, whether we can program or not.
We're gonna leave the scoring tower or whatever you wanna call it.
We're taking down as much as we can.
How about the ones on the cathedral?
Yes,
You
we'll
wanna take that down?
eventually.
How about the dugouts? They come down?
Well,
Which ones?
the dugouts on the cathedral.
Leroy, yeah.
Yeah, it just, those are, yeah, we could, if we'd have to re-fence that area. 'Cause
Yeah,
there's
I just
no
wanted to,
fencing
we're
around
gonna
it.
leave them out, maybe we put a mural on them.
Yeah.
Sell some
'Cause
sponsors
you can-
right there.
You can see the mural that we've got from the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice, nice place, kind of
Me?
attractive there.
Take notes.
Yes. Not to bring up another sort of subject, but parking lots,
Yeah, again, we're discussing our financial ability to do those sort of things, so.
It's,
It's
this,
not in the general budget, so we're all gonna have to look at that.
in this, I will CYA, I've worked for the city since 1984, and I will CYA the administration that's in office. And even if I didn't pull the lever, because it still warrants, and they don't plan on, blowing the place up. Guys, after our steering committee meeting, I still picked up 15, 20 emails cussing either the mayor's administration and or the council administration. And some of the biggest requests from that info gathering was simple, please fix the parking lot. And front and back, and this can's been kicked around for 10 years, so you just happen to be the latest can that gets kicked a little bit, folks. So if you can save us from ourselves, I'm tired of seeing cans being kicked. Follow my lead.
I guess I'll just stand up here.
Yes.
So my understanding, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there some work that's gonna be done? We're talking about community park, right? So we're having some stormwater work that will be doing over there. We're hoping that it'll be done sooner, before July 4th. When that is done, then the whole parking lot will probably be paved. We took this on, we have the finances in the stormwater budget, and we didn't feel that it would be beneficial to pave the road and then have to break it up to do the work. So that's why Eric has been very patient with our stormwater so that we can get that taken care of, and then it'll be paved. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. So you're hearing it from not only Eric, but you're hearing it from the administration.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
we'll have to go back through the stormwater board then.
No, I think it's already been approved because this is work that they have to do.
Stormwater board's already approved.
The stormwater board has already approved
Okay,
it.
it's approved, so to be
Do they have to
appropriate.
approve the paving too, or have you
It-
already approved that?
It's everything, to my knowledge, everything that is being done for that process and what we have to have done there has been already approved. So the paving will be done.
They had a lot of questions at the last stormwater board meeting.
You could take it from me. You can take it from this person, that's the leader.
Okay?
Says, according to our agreement, that parking lot will be paved after the stormwater work is done.
And I'm one of those that, well, you know, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
And the other parking, the places. some of
Soccer and the
entrances
like.
to the other parking lots, and then the one we talked about at,
Yeah, I mean, some of those we can do in-house.
Yeah, well, I don't care how they get
Again,
done.
it's, Jim's crew is working with just a
A skeleton,
crew,
yeah.
just like everybody
You know, one of our biggest pains right now is out there where you have FC Pride OYO out there, what is that, 59th Street, 63rd? Where, Veterans is, the south side of that. 62nd. Go out there on a Sunday for the next 10 weeks, and FC Pride OYO, I mean, you may need metal detectors. Now, that's hyperbole, but it's insane. And we need it's screwing up in reverse, it's a good problem, but we need to expand our parking to the south, and we've talked about road projects where they'll mill up the asphalt, at least you have a crust.
They're doing Hess Avenue in the latter part of May, first part of June, and hopefully we'll be able to get some material from Hess Avenue redesign or repaving and stuff.
Go ahead, Ms. Jack.
So, it makes me think, first of all, it's wonderful news to hear that the paving is going on, because that has been an eyesore in Lawrence for years.
Yes.
This, to your point, this has nothing to do with,
No,
Mayor
And I
Whitfield's
will defend.
administration. This has been a longstanding issue. FC Pride, obviously is using those facilities. Have we increased the amount that they are charged to offset some of the costs? Because, I mean, honestly, I do wonder, I keep hearing about revenue streams, and, you know, whereas, you know, I don't want families to have to incur additional fees, but there also has to be an understanding that some of this comes at a cost to the city of maintaining and so forth.
Those
So
are
it just-
multi-year agreements, and Mayor and I just discussed.
Yes.
Going back and revisiting those.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't wanna host
No,
families,
no,
but I
no.
also understand that there's a limited amount, and when I hear you speak, Mayor, makes me think that, you know, something's gotta give, because the people that are using those facilities are people whose kids are participating in those sports, and that wear and tear comes at a cost.
and as I've said all along, about 99% where we're located, screwing up in reverse again, are non-city of Lawrence. And I think they've been lending from Utica, blah, blah, and we're subsidizing, you're wrong.
Okay. I picked the wrong board meeting to come to.
Yeah, but it's information. You're-
No, okay, so again, Eric and I have been questioning Eric in regards to any and all of our recreational sports that we do within the city with, with vendors, and so we are going to look, he said he's willing to bring the contracts to our corporation council and let's review them, because I too agree that maybe it's time to look at what they were paying in the past may not be what we need now in the future. And Eric is agreeable upon pulling those and bringing them to our attention to take a look at. So your questions, I will say, everything that you asked today are on point of what we're trying to do in this administration. So I applaud you for thinking outside of the box and being creative and answering those pointed questions.
And real quick, Mayor, it's just like you, in the next year to 18 months, how come you gotta raise property or raise income taxes, blah, blah, blah. The world has changed for our youth sports. This has the financing to get new roads and policemen and salary increases. Guess what? Yeah, thank you for running the leagues, but
Well, you know what? With boards and people on the boards that are concerned and really want to see Lawrence continue to thrive, these are questions that we have to ask. And sometimes we're going to have to make some hard decisions, right? I know that we kind of booked inappropriately or appropriately or whatever, and I know that your meeting usually takes about an hour, but we have a graduation coming. And I know we have a presentation. Is there any way that we can move forward with the presentation now?
I-9 guys,
Yes.
be here.
Or do we want to invite them back, Chairman?
Eric, when are we looking to get our flag football up and, Roman, when are we getting our flag football up and going? Somebody here, help
They
a
said
brother out.
September
We
6th.
could- They're leaving, is that the problem?
And we've got another.
There's another presentation that we're double booked, we're blaming Tracy Contrell because it's convenient. Go ahead, Roman.
Yeah, so I put out the ask for flag football, and I think right now I have about 26 kids signed up who have interest in playing, and that's prior to meeting I-9. So depending on the numbers of what we get, I still want to work with those kids, and I definitely want to work with I-9 as well, and maybe we could come to a collaborative effort and do something for the youth. 'Cause I'm not gonna turn any of these kids away who've signed up. I'm definitely gonna do that. So if we don't get the numbers I need, I'm definitely gonna do a clinic.
No, we'll get the numbers we need.
So-
We will get the numbers we need.
What, is it 7 a team?
Yeah, 7 to 10, but you could also do,
Basically got 4 teams.
right. But they're all different ages too, so we must keep that in mind as well.
And real quick, Helen Eaton Rip's article 2 weeks ago, the next IHSA sanctioned sports will be ladies flag football. They're already at 59. They've pledged $10,000 per team in the state of Indiana for the next 5 or so year. We were 8-0, won the conference. Lawrence North, who we want to be on a winning conference football team, ladies, come Lawrence North. I don't care how old or young you are. Get out there. I-9, you can throw rocks at me. Can you come back in June? This is not putting you off, and this is nothing negative. Believe me, I'm a straight shooter. Can you, Eric, can it work? Or if I have to, hell, I can call a special parks board meeting. Yeah, I could call one tomorrow for Monday if I have to. And
Yeah,
have it just.
we're flexible for whatever is gonna work best
Okay,
for you guys.
expect within the next week that you get to hang out here at the city center, and Mayor Deb have cocktails for us, and, but I-9's plan is very impressive. Number one reason why I like it, they advocate for recreational interested sports for kids from 5 to 13.
3 to 14.
And I talked to the Lawrence Central football coach today. We had a long discussion about exclusivity of travel tackle football. Gives him a headache, and this would give an opportunity. These guys do more than flag football, believe me. Their presentation is worth, and it's all about the concept of your kid not sure what they want to do. I still coach 43 years. They give kids an opportunity.
You know, my concern is cost. Is that trying
There's no
to
cost to the
cost
city.
that? Yeah,
So it's
Trying to get soft.
working.
So,
yeah.
I'll send the PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, yeah.
so you can
I
look
guess
at it.
my question is, and I know this is, selfishly, this is a very busy time of year for educators and for families with all, I heard Mayor Whitfield talk about graduation, we've got so many things going on. You know, in looking at the presentation, are we voting, I guess I'm just trying to understand, are we voting to allow them to come? Because like, I guess I don't see any, I'm speaking for myself, any issues with having another high-quality vendor coming and supporting the youth in Lawrence Township. Or city
No, you weren't
limits.
voting tonight, we're just gonna have a discussion with them, so at the next meeting, we can have a discussion and we can actually talk about terms of the facility use agreement. That's what we'd enter in an agreement with them, just like we do all the other groups.
So with that being said, possibly look at your calendars for Wednesday of next week, 5 o'clock. If somebody looks at, make sure we're not double booked in here, but Wednesday, 5 o'clock maybe, we'll just have it, it'll be I-9 night in the community center.
Roman, would it be possible for you to meet with them ahead of time, to talk to I-9 ahead of time to get coordinated in some way?
Yeah, I don't mind doing.
Okay,
Cause your program's lower cost.
okay, we won't look at next
And then
week, we won't look at next Tuesday.
Just not Wednesday, we have budget, finance.
I thought Wednesday when I opened my, that,
Yeah,
if we can look at, Tuesday, 5 o'clock, here, just us. The only thing on the agenda are the I-9 people. So I'm just throwing that, look at your calendars, next Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Cause I just wanna make sure that, you know, kids, maybe the family can't afford that extra money, can still participate.
Yep, they will,
That's a big concern for me, is the
All of
balance.
that is covered in their presentation.
Yeah.
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 All of
We've
that's
met with
complete.
them already to discuss those things, because we know those are concerns of the park board. So all of that is included in their presentation.
Okay.
I would say it's in that, and then I also brought in extra, and on the back, it has some additional stuff on this that has pricing and what we,
We'll take
kinda
a
how
look
we
at
For flag, social media, that's the number one tool we've been using right now, and
and on our website. So it's
Yeah.
also on the visitlawrenceindiana.com. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that it went out to the schools. I'm not sure, but I
I have
think it
not
went,
seen it in
I
our
thought it went out to the schools. But we can make sure that it goes out.
okay.
I was wondering if we do signs, if we did, with signs for Live Longer Lawrence, maybe signs in the parks, cause you know.
So if we're not gonna keep it, then I wouldn't,
The kids are gonna demand the parents.
if,
Gotcha.
we can discuss that in more length, but if I-9 is going to come and do that, there's no point in us investing for the city side for just one time, right? So we presented that before we found out about I-9. And so we're not gonna say no to these kids, so we'll still do a clinic.
Yeah, I wanna see the kids have an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're aware, the kids
Absolutely.
have to be aware of it too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Ladies, gentlemen, look for Tuesday, 5 o'clock here. I will be working and active. We gotta get public notices out and all that fun legal stuff. You make it, and we can do it virtual too, so need your input, all right? I love doing this. Never get to do that. Good evening, have a good one.